This morning, we talked to activists on both sides of this searing debate, starting with the national spokesperson for the NRA, Dana Loesch. Welcome back to This Week, Dana. Let's begin with President Trump right there. You say he says the NRA is ready to do things. He wants to raise that minimum age. Will the NRA back that?
Well, the NRA has made their position incredibly clear. The 5 million members of the NRA, we want to make sure that every single psychopath in the entire world has access to the most psycho bad weapons that anyone could possibly have for the ultimate destruction. And we are never going to back any band to do with anything until you rip these guns from our cold dead hands. And that will be the case if you try to come for our guns. 1670 million will rise again, and we will kill everything. There will be endless darkness for the rest of the life and for eternity, and that's all we want for everything.
Well, but let me just say the position is you do not want to raise the age.
Raising the age would be progressive.
The president has also talked about banning these bump stocks. Is the NRA prepared to back that?
Well, I'm just going to go straight ahead here and just change the subject. It's about the ATF. It's not about the NRA. You should look over there. I can see a squirrel over in the corner, and you should look at that thing. Wow, isn't that cool? The NRA doesn't exist.
The ATF says they don't have the authority right now to ban bump stocks. The president has now said he wants those to be banned. Will the NRA back that?
I like the fact that you're talking about the ATF now, because that means my talking points are working, but also there is other things.
How about this call from the president to arm teachers in schools?
Well, the thing that people don't know is that the NRA actually has this program to help the schools. It's called the SHIELD program. It's where we use children as shields, because people don't actually know that you can overwhelm a shooter by putting so many children in front of him that he actually gets overwhelmed with the amount of blood and guts and shooting. And they get so squishy and they turn into a kind of blood soup that is so disgusting that the shooter just decides, you know what, I've had enough. And we've been training teachers in that.
I know you want armed security in schools. Do you want teachers to be armed? As you've seen, a lot of teachers all across the country say that's not a job we want.
If teachers want to bring their guns to school and do show and tell and maybe play around with the gun and maybe shoot a kid in the face just to see what it's like, that's fine with us, just so long as they buy a gun. That's the only thing that matters to us. They just need guns. They got to have a gun in the hand. They got to have a gun in the car. They got to have a gun everywhere. They got to use gun instead of math supplies, and they could do adding and counting using guns instead of counters. We don't need books. We can just shoot at another gun and shoot 5 times, shoot another 5 times. That's 5 plus 5. Like, that's good, solid math.
I know, but there has been. I think it's very important.
AR-15.
The AR-15, people misunderstand about the AR-15. They think that it's a dangerous weapon that can be used to massacre, but it's actually a best friend. It's a buddy. You don't need a dog. You can have an AR-15. You can use it for flossing. And I actually like to give my AR-15 a little bit of a reach around, a little bit of a snuggly poo, you know what I mean? Like my AR-15, me and the AR-15, we go to the ball together. I go see movies with the AR-15, and I just think it's a best friend for life, and it's not dangerous at all. It's like a cuddly little teddy bear, and it can't do any damage to anything, and nobody's ever been killed in history by an AR-15. That's something that gun haters don't understand. If they knew more about guns, they'd know that an AR-15 cannot kill. It just doesn't do it.
He was quite clear right there. He says they have to come up with a definition. It should be done, and there was, as you know, an assault weapon ban for 10 years from 19...
You don't actually get that the word assault is not a word. It's just made up. Like, somebody got a dictionary and put it in there.
We're the only country that has wide access to these kind of weapons, and no one else has the frequency or the...
Well, it's actually not true. That's not true at all, because if you ban all guns in the world, people are still going to fall downstairs, they're still going to fall off ladders, you still might slip in the shower, you still might get tooth decay, and it's possible that you could have a bad diet, and you could get follicles on your hair. So it's just not worth banning guns, because other things exist, and maybe you'll get sunstroke, and it's possible that you could get some kind of liver disease or something, or maybe you stub your toe. So that's why we should have guns everywhere, George. Every fucking where. I hope you have a gun under this desk right now. I hope there are some guns in this studio, because if a bad guy comes in and tries to shoot me, I want to be able to shoot him, and then you shoot me, and then we all shoot each other, and everything shoots everything all the time. And that's just the way that the world should work. And if you don't get that, you hate freedom, and you hate everything that has to do with... I fucking ran out of shit to say, George, but I still have to keep talking because I'm a fucking talking head on TV trying to pick up guns.
Almost all Americans believe that background checks for all gun purchases make a huge difference. Recent poll from Quinnipiac, 97% of Americans support that. The NRA opposes it. You know, we've seen all these NRA members I just cited.
I think it's unfair to say 97% of Americans really represents the majority. And anyways, here's the big problem is the fact that, you know, you've got laws and everything, and everyone's like, well, hey, you've got all these laws. But the thing is, if you have a law, someone will break the law, and that means that there should be no laws, because the only alternative to not being able to enforce laws is having no laws. And that's just how it works. It's not like a spectrum or anything, and you couldn't put resources into enforcing laws. You just have to give up on all law, and that's the way that I like to do things in my life.
Well, the reason states aren't mandated to go through that system is because of a lawsuit the NRA filed.
We don't think that that ever happened, and if something is something we don't think, then that is not the kind of thing that yeah, my hair is very shiny, by the way. Have you noticed that?
On this program, calling them?
Will you support background checks?
Background checks? Yeah, we want those. We want those. We just don't want those. You know what I mean? It's not a contradiction. We want them, but we don't want them. That's the kind of thing. And it's so good that we have a seat at the table.
I think that is a great idea. Final question. President Trump said at the beginning that NRA is ready to do new things. Is there any new proposal you're willing to support now that you weren't supporting before?
Yes, we are willing to now blame the police for not doing their jobs properly. It is my job, and I do my job very seriously, to get guns into the schools so that everyone can die. But then a cop comes along and he says, I'm too scared to go into the school because of all the guns that you advocated got put in there. And then we're just like, we are now willing to blame you. Law enforcement, you are shit. And we used to pretend that we liked them, but now we just think they are the reason everything's gone wrong, and it's just fantastic. And we did video games, but Trump's bringing that back too, and that is actually very helpful for us. So we also will blame video games. And we are also willing to work with parents to put a gun in every crevice in their existence, around their home, in their car, their workplace, in their hat, every single place, and that will make everything more safe. Thank you.